President Biden's pardon of his own son, Hunter, deserves a little fresh scrutiny after he signed a full and unconditional pardon for the crimes that date all the way back, keep in mind, to 2014. Now, we have to point out that that year is particularly important because that's the same year that Hunter Biden joined the board of the infamous Ukrainian energy company Burisma. It's now pretty much a household name. Hunter Biden has been accused of peddling his father's name in direct connection for him to influence and leverage, particularly in Ukraine and China, while Biden was vice president under then-President Barack Obama. In this pardon, was Biden really trying to help his son out or actually protect his own name as he tries to sweep the accusations of being a crime family under the rug? Joining us now is the person best equipped to talk to this, best-selling author and investigative reporter, Seamus Bruner, author of the best-selling book Control Oligarchs. Seamus, we always appreciate you joining on. The big question that I have for you this, after looking at this broad, massive pardon, do you think this is really for Hunter or for Joe himself indirectly? Is it for both of them? What did you make of it?
Hey, Dan, great to be with you. Yes, you nailed it. You took the first line. This is not just a pardon of Hunter. This is Joe pardoning himself, putting the gun charges and crimes to the side for a second, because those are the ones that were most aggressively pursued and conveniently the ones that were not leading to Joe. The tax charges, DOJ investigators say, were part of an influence peddling operation. This Ukraine money, all this money that Hunter got, millions and millions of dollars from Burisma, was probably, they say, possibly part of an influence peddling operation. You think, of course, it was an influence peddling operation. That's why Joe Biden said on camera, "You're not getting the $1 billion unless you fire the prosecutor." So yeah, it was a cover-up of Joe Biden's activities. Of course, it goes back to 2014 because that is conveniently outside the statute of limitations for basically every federal crime except maybe murder type activities. So a 10-year back blanket immunity, get out of jail free card for Hunter covers up every crime that Joe Biden is implicated in. And these are not just like the gun charges and even the tax charges. That's not what we're really talking about here. We are talking about Foreign Agents Registration Act. That was some of the implications, though Hunter was never charged with it. And that's basically lobbying for a foreign government, i.e. China or government-connected entities like Ukraine's Burisma. Fair is kind of like the lower end of the potential charges that Hunter should face. Then there's the bribery. 18 U.S.C. Section 201 says that anything of value for any official action constitutes bribery. And so the things of value are the tens of millions of dollars that Hunter and the other Biden crime family members received from China, Ukraine, Romania, all these other places. The things of value are the things that Joe Biden delivered. And so Joe Biden should be guilty of bribery. This is what the House Oversight was investigating. They should have came up with impeachment charges long ago. But nonetheless, and then you get to the potential treasonous activities. I mean, I'm not accusing Joe Biden of treason, but what would you call selling out your country to its number one adversary, i.e. China? One of the deals that Hunter was involved in, the Henniges automotive deal, saw China's largest military contractor take over a Michigan-based manufacturing plant that made sensitive weapons-type technology. Hunter facilitated that deal. Joe Biden's government approved it. John Kerry, Barack Obama, all of these guys were involved in the Henniges automotive deal, and that's why the pardon goes back to 2014. They want to sweep it all under the rug.
Seamus, given the breadth and how broad the timeline from this pardon is, do you anticipate or could we expect any more members of the Biden family to receive possible pardons? Because it seems as though the timeline here could be a bit of a tacit admission of some form of guilt from the president at this point. Do you anticipate that maybe a Jim Biden could receive a pardon or something of that sort? What do you think?
I would be shocked if he didn't pardon more members of the Biden crime family network. Jim, Frank, Valerie Biden, his sister, she was not involved in, these same foreign activities, so I don't know that she needs a pardon. His daughter, Ashley, her husband, Howard, they were involved in some light influence peddling, but not involving foreign countries, I don't think they would need a pardon. But absolutely, Jim and Sarah, his wife, that would be Joe's sister-in-law, Sarah Biden, they were up to their neck in the CEFC dealings. These were they facilitated the payments. They received credit cards that they went on shopping sprees from the CEFC China Energy Company. And so we calculated some $31 million, and House oversight investigators found more or less the same numbers. Some $31 million went to members of the Biden family directly from China. And we found in 5 deals, all 5 were tied to the highest levels of Chinese intelligence. And so this was an influence operation. The Biden family was compromised. The reason that he has to pardon Hunter is because there are actually active investigations and charges and prosecutions underway. James Biden, Sarah Biden, and the others mentioned, they're not actually under criminal investigation. So it's possible that shutting down the Hunter prosecutions and charges shuts down all of it. That's what's so unseemly about this particular pardon, is because he's pardoning himself, Joe, and also all of the members of his family, unless there are new investigations.
Seamus, now that we're coming to the end of the Biden administration, I want you to take a step back, knowing everything that you do about the president, his family, the things that they're alleged of. What do you think, in your own eyes, will be the lasting legacy of Joe Biden as he ultimately takes a bow away from American politics come this January?
Well, it's a great question, Dan. I kind of came to terms a long time ago, years ago, that none of the Bidens would ever see the inside of a jail cell. And so that's a little disappointing, selling out your country to its #1 adversary, China, making tens of millions of dollars from Chinese spies. You'd think that there should be some justice, and I still believe that there ought to be some justice. But the thing I will say, the lasting legacy is that they will go down as the most corrupt first family in American history. The biggest scandals, Watergate, all the way back to Teapot Dome, even the Clinton cash scandal, which we broke back in 2015 with the tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to the Clintons. The Biden family out corrupted all of them. It is insane that $1.5 billion private equity deal from the Bank of China and in selling out American military suppliers to Chinese and getting prosecutors fired in Ukraine, all of it. This is the biggest story of corruption that's happened in our lifetimes and possibly American history. And that will be their legacy. And that is a form of justice.
And Seamus, real quick, we're coming to the end of the segment real quick, but just looking forward towards the incoming Trump administration, obviously a lot of people, like you just said, this was really one of the most corrupt forms of justice that we've seen. Do you anticipate that the incoming president, the president-elect Donald Trump, can restore some form of justice and order to Washington, D.C.? Obviously, it's a tall task, but his record certainly is nothing to snuff at, and some of the cabinets, but what do you anticipate that President Trump can do to sort of right the ship in some sense?
Yeah, I absolutely believe that Donald Trump can bring reform. The 2 agencies at play here, most important agencies, are the DOJ and the FBI. The Gates pick and now the Bondi pick are excellent picks for restoring integrity to the DOJ. And this is why the Biden story just perfectly shows why we need Kash Patel confirmed as FBI director. He needs to go in there. He needs to clean house. He needs to yank the security clearances of all of the intelligence operatives who have, who, for instance, the 51 who said that the Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. And he also needs to look at the FARA division, the Foreign Agents Registration Act of the DOJ and FBI is woefully understaffed and underfunded. And so this is the division that should be looking into things like selling out your country to the highest bidder, like with the CEFC dealings and with the Bohai Harvest dealings of Hunter Biden and James Biden. This is the most important thing that an FBI director can do, is start prosecuting, because we saw when Paul Manafort was charged with the Foreign Agents Registration Act, all of a sudden everyone started filing their filings on time. Of course, Hunter Biden never filed a FARA registration, and so many others do not file under FARA, but that's probably the most important division from the foreign influence perspective.
Seamus Bruner, thank you so much for joining here on Fine Point. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your insight. As always, Seamus, thank you so much, and happy belated Thanksgiving.
Yeah, thanks, Dan, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, too. Coming up, our viewers peer into their crystal ball and share what the future holds. It's time for Mark My Words. Next up.